What is going on, everybody? This is TAETRO, and welcome back to an all-new, the second edition of the Ableton Live for Beginners series. If you've just stumbled upon this video and you're trying to learn Ableton Live, this is the place to be. This series is completely for beginners working from the ground up, learning to make music within Ableton Live, which is why it's very important that you go back and watch the first video in this series, linked below, before you watch this video. In the first video, we covered some very basic navigational things in Ableton Live, like being able to load up instruments, arming them, and even making some initial loops within session view. During this video, we're going to expand upon that knowledge a little bit of recording your ideas. We're going to also introduce the idea of recording audio, because previously we only recorded Midi, those instruments that live inside the computer. But what about if you want to record things outside the computer? That's what audio recording is for. And of course, I'd like to thank our sponsor for this series, DistroKid, but I'll tell you more about them in a bit. To get started, why don't we quickly recap what we learned last time? First things first, we want to be able to hear what we're working on. So double check, go to Live, Preferences, your Audio tab, and make sure your audio output device is wherever the sound is coming out of. For me, it's coming out of my audio interface. Remember that for later. For you, it might be coming out of your computer speakers, or you might have headphones connected directly to your laptop. It'll say external headphones. Whatever it is, just make sure you select the correct output device so you can hear your sound. One more thing to look at that we didn't cover last time is buffer size and latency. When we're recording in sounds, we want to not be able to hear a significant delay between pressing or playing a note and the sound of that note. So all computers vary, but you want to get this number, your buffer size, as low as possible. If you're at 128 samples, that's a safe place to be. You can even get away with 256 if you had to. But that's it for those preferences right now. And what else did we learn last time? We learned you can go in the browser here, find an instrument that you like. These are just synth names, remember? And if we want to, we can expand these and find presets like this piano sound, and we can click and drag and drop that to load this sound, but we're not going to drop it on an audio track. We can either drop it on a blank MIDI track or in this empty abyss over here. Let's drop it on a blank MIDI track. Right out the gate, that track got armed at the bottom here with a red arm button, but we know that we have to arm that to be able to hear it. And we know that by selecting this keyboard button here, we can use our computer keyboard to play in notes. Playing A, S, D, F, G, I was just playing the home row of the keyboard. And we could explore other sounds within the instruments library here, or we could go to drums and load up a drum kit. Let's load up an 808 kit this time and drop that on the blank MIDI track that Live's default template gives us. Now we can play notes in this, but we need to make sure we're in the right octave. As you can see, those yellow notes are flashing on screen, but they're not triggering any sounds. So we can hit Z to go down an octave, Z to go down an octave one more, and A will be our bass drum. We can tell this because the yellow is lighting up right here on the grid. Say I hit Z too many times. Now that A button is corresponding to this light down here. We don't want that. Let's hit X to go back up. Great, we can load sounds in. We know how to arm them. If I want to go back to this electric piano sound, I just arm it and start playing notes, remembering that we're in that same low octave that we had to be in for the drums. We can quickly make loops in these. We can double click in an empty clip slot to make a blank clip. And we can double click and add in notes. And if we don't know too much about music theory, we're going to stick to the white keys only. We can also extend notes to be longer. We can also click on notes and move them like this. Clicking play on a clip will play it. And we can stop those clips by clicking that stop button there. Let's do the same for drums. I'm just going to double click to get an empty clip on the drums. And I'm just going to do a 4 to the floor bass line, meaning a bass kick note on beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. I can lower the volume on my synth by bringing the track volume down. We can duplicate this track, this clip I should say. It's exactly the same, but now we could add notes to it. And now I can click play on the other clip and go back to it. Press spacebar to stop everything. Okay, that worked pretty well. But don't forget, you can make it slower or faster by clicking right here. 120, click and drag down to make it go slower. This is our beats per minute. Click and drag up to make it go faster. Or just click, type a number, press enter. And that's a tempo of our track. Spacebar, stop everything, and good. Very, very basic workflow here. I even showed you how to record in your own notes if we wanted to. Oh, let me make sure I arm the drum kit. And if I want to play this empty clip, play along with our melody here, I can press that little record button, the session record button here, and record a basic drum loop. But I made a mistake there. It's looping around. What happened? Let's fix our mistakes today and let's talk a little bit more in depth about recording in live. First of all, I showed you that you can extend notes. You can click on them and move them. You can draw them in by double clicking. You can double click on them again to get rid of them. Or you can click on a note and press delete to get rid of it, which I might do with some of these extra bass drum hits. Like this one at the end, that one's hiding there. Just click delete on that, we don't need it. This one here, we don't need that one either. But I press play, and I don't hear a kick drum on that first downbeat. And by pressing play, I mean I pressed spacebar, which is pressing play on everything. The reason for that is this note here, I'm just clicking and dragging to highlight, is actually starting before the real loop starts. And here's where some of the finicky control of Ableton Live comes in. If I make a magnifying glass right up here above these numbers, you see it goes away there, but magnifying glass here, I can zoom in and zoom out, and that will give me like a finer control over where notes are starting and stopping. But if I click on this note here and I just drag it so that it just touches that number 1, we'll be able to hear it. Fantastic. One thing we didn't do last time is record any audio. And if some of you are instrumental players or if you're a singer, recording audio is super crucial to you. And we also didn't record in the arrangement view. Press tab to get there. This is the more timeline view, which is going to be better for those of you that are songwriters, or at least if you're writing in a linear fashion. Your song has a beginning, middle, and end, versus, press tab again, just a bunch of loops that are good for performance. For me, I like to use session view as a musical sketch pad, but at the end of the day, all my projects actually do go over into the arrangement view. So that's what we will be digging deep into today. And before we get to arrangement view, let's clear some things up about recording audio. First of all, if you're recording audio, you're going to need some external recording device. Some people have USB microphones. Other people have audio interfaces. These are things that plug into your computer via USB. Sometimes they have a microphone input, sometimes they have an instrument input, or both, and they usually connect to your speakers. So if you've already got one of those, I actually do have one. It's a Scarlett and it's connected to my computer already. So what I'd like to do is actually connect a microphone. What I have here is a microphone, very basic, and my XLR cable, which is going to connect to my audio interface like I just described. So I'm just gonna plug it in, and I want to record with this microphone, but how do we make that happen? we have to go back to Live's preferences. Live preferences, and if you remember, I've been telling you in the audio tab to set your audio output device. Well, now we need to set an audio input device. We're putting audio into the computer. So I'm going to select my Scarlett 8i6 interface, find whatever your interface is called or your USB microphone. Great, that is set to our audio interface. And last time I told you to click this I/O button to make all that extra stuff on screen go away. But here, this I/O button and all the information it shows us is actually kind of helpful. You might see a little bit of green right there, hovering on track 3. And that is because, you can probably notice it's lighting up as I'm tapping. Audio is being received from track 1 on my audio interface. Right now, it can receive audio from either track 1 or track 2. You notice that this audio track is automatically set to track 2. So whatever you plugged your microphone into or your instrument into, make sure you've selected the proper input channel. 1, 2, maybe you have an interface that has more, etc. So now both of those are lighting up, which tells me good, it's receiving audio. But now, how do I actually start recording audio? It's the same process as the MIDI tracks. If we want to play a track or record into a track, we need to arm it. And now, just like we armed the MIDI tracks, I'm going to arm this audio track. Now it's armed, and if I speak into the microphone, you'll start to see it light up here. But it's gray. Why is it gray? It's gray because monitoring is turned off. Monitoring is so you can hear what you're recording while you're recording it. But if I set monitoring to auto, now you'll be able to hear it, even though my mic connection is not good. But you can hear me coming through the DAW now, as well as through this microphone and this microphone. And it's lighting up green on the screen. Now I'm ready to record. However, our little trick that we did with MIDI last time, double clicking and creating an empty clip, does not work on audio tracks. Instead, we have to press the record button here on the individual audio tracks. And that's actually going to trigger a count in, and we're gonna have to press play again to get it to loop back. And then I'm gonna show you how to do this in arrangement view so you don't have to deal with any of these session clips, but I'm gonna do that after I tell you about today's sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid is the easiest way for musicians and artists to upload and sell their music on the most popular stores and platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, even TikTok. It's how I've distributed my music on all of those places since before they've even sponsored the channel. And in addition to DistroKid being really simple, just one annual fee and being able to upload unlimited music throughout the year, they also have a lot of other kind of bonus features that are really great for artists. I'm going to tell you about one of them today called Splits. Splits is a way of automatically splitting the earnings from any track. So say you're an artist with a team, you've got a producer, or maybe you're in a band and you have 4 members. Splits, you can automatically split the earnings by percentage between whoever you want from your team. You don't have to do the accounting on your own. You don't even have to send out the money on your own, divvy it up. No, DistroKid does all that for you. Hey, what's good everybody? TAETRO and editing here. I realized I actually took advantage of this feature back when I collaborated with an awesome beat maker, guitar player. Her name's Majesty. If y'all remember that beat. When I released that beat in our collaboration, I used splits to split the revenue from the track 50-50 with her. Easiest way to collaborate with somebody and make sure everybody gets their cut. I just think that's like so helpful for artists with teams. Like you don't have to do your own accounting and you don't have to be kind of weird about like, oh, I have the money and I'll Venmo it to you on this day when it drops or whatever. No, DistroKid does it for you, makes it super easy. And that's just one other reason why I love using DistroKid, not just for distributing my music to all the major stores, but for fun features like this, which I'll tell you about more of them in a future installment of this series. So thank you again to DistroKid for sponsoring this video today, and let's get back to recording some music in Ableton Live. All right, we're back. So I told you already that double clicking, our little trick that we used with MIDI double clicking, delete that before I forget, does not work on audio tracks. I can't double click into any of these clip slots. That's not a bug. That's just how live works. What we have to do instead is press this record button, or press the record button in the clip slot that we want to record into. So I'm going to press record and just watch what happens. Check, 1, 2. Okay, it started recording, but it didn't start recording right away. It actually counted us in from 4. It counted 1, 2, 3, 4, start recording. And that's actually a setting in Live's preferences that I want to double check and make sure you all have, because that's crucial. So if I go to Live Preferences, I can go to Record and then find the count in, and you can set this to 1 bar. You can even set it to 2 or 4 bars, but for our purposes today, I'm going to set it to 1 bar. Just double check and make sure yours is not none. What that does is that just gives us a little time after we press record to get ready to start actually recording. Now, we did record a little bit of audio there, but I'm going to delete that because it was no good. So now we're going to press record. It's going to count to 4. We're going to start recording. I'm going to say something into the microphone while it's recording. My monitoring is set to off. I'll set that back to auto. And then watch how I get out of the recording here in session view. How I start looping, just like we did with the Midi. I'm going to press record in this top clip slot here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, press play. 1, play. 1, 2. Okay, so it recorded a loop. Did you see how that worked? So to start recording a loop, we press record. It counts us in for 4 bars. And then in order to get it to loop around again, we have to press the play button that's generated. Let me just show you it one more time quickly. We have a play button here. When I press that play button, it will start, it will end recording, and it will end the loop. Do you hear that? That's obnoxious. Okay, all right, so this is a little more complicated than it actually sounds, but it's Ableton Live working to help you create music in an easier way. And if you understand this concept, it's going to save you a lot of headaches. Ableton Live works off of a system called global launch quantization, meaning that since the global launch quantization of the default project is set to 1 bar, whether we're pressing play on a clip, stopping a clip, or recording a new clip, those actions are always going to happen on the downbeat, the first beat of a new bar, meaning that the second you press play is not when the clip is going to play. As if the project is running, it's going to wait till the next downbeat. Let me demonstrate this because this actually came up with our Midi clips as well. Here's another new button for you to learn. It's the Stop All Clips button, and it lives over here on the master track. And all we have to do is press stop, and every clip that was currently playing is going to not play. The green play buttons went away. So for now, let's kick things off and let's just play the melody loop again. That one started playing instantly because the project was not running. Nothing was playing. Now let's cue in the drums. They don't come in right away. They come in on the downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to press space and just point something out to you that here at the top, Live is counting time for us. The number I want you to pay attention to right now is this middle number here, which will tell us what beat we're on. 1, 2, 3, or 4. And you'll notice that when I press play on things or press stop on things, it always happens on beat 1, the downbeat. So again, I'm going to press stop on all these clips, press play on our melody, cue the drums, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let's cue the vocals. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this works with recording as well. Don't forget. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Press play. Hey, 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 hey. Cringe. But hey, if you're paying attention, you know how that worked. To record a new loop, I had to press record before the downbeat was coming, but when the downbeat came in, it started recording the loop. And then when I wanted it to loop back and stop recording, I pressed the play button, and when the next downbeat came in, it started playing the loop. Hopefully you can kind of understand that concept, but that is the basic process of recording loops in Session View, which is by no means the easiest way of recording. That's why we're going to talk about arrangement today. It's way easier. But before we jump into that, I just want to remind you that process that we just did for audio clips, it actually also works for MIDI clips. Previously, I showed you that you could double click and create a blank clip, and I showed you that you could duplicate it to make the clip longer. Well, actually, that isn't the only way. You can record exactly how I just demonstrated recording an audio clip. You can do that same thing with MIDI clips. So I actually have my MIDI controller here, but if you have your computer keyboard, make sure you're in the right octave, and you can use your home row to play drums. Let's try recording in a drum loop this same way. I'm going to press record. It's going to count me in 4 beats, start recording, and I have to use one hand to press play again to have it loop back. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Hey, 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 hey. I forgot I had the hey clip playing. No. But you saw the process there. We recorded a new drum clip with that new technique that we just learned for recording in new session clips. It's a little bit of multitasking because you have to have one hand prepared to click record and click play, and you have to have one hand playing an instrument. So that's why I didn't show it to you at first. It's just a little more complicated. Hey, this is Editing TAETRO one more time. I realized I didn't show you how to correct a common mistake you can make here. So say you tried to record a loop, but you didn't hit the play button in time and it recorded some extra space over here on the end. If you want to shorten that down and get rid of that extra space, all you have to do is grab these 2 flags right here. It makes a bracket, as you can see. Click and drag that. And you want to drag it to the closest downbeat probably. So that 5, which is the downbeat of bar 5, drag it there. So now we have a complete 4-bar loop instead of extra space at the end. That's how you can easily correct this. Just shorten, or you can even shorten it even shorter if you want. But now at least you know how to do this. Click and drag. But what's not complicated is hitting tab and recording in the arrangement view, the linear view of Ableton Live. Now, what I'll say is this gets a little finicky as well because Ableton Live either wants to play sounds from session view or it wants to play sounds from arrangement view, and starting to mix those two gets a little complicated and it's easy to get lost. But the first thing we want to do coming from session view is press this play button here. This kind of tells Live that, hey, we're working in arrangement view, and don't play those clips over there on the other screen. Just play what we give you over here in arrangement view. So we have our synth here, and you notice things haven't changed that much. They're a little bit different, but we still have our arm button here. You should still recognize that as an arm button. So we can arm that synth and play notes. Fantastic, same thing. Instead of having a volume fader, we have this volume box here, I guess you could call it. We can click and drag up and down to control that. And now, instead of having clips to record, we're gonna use this transport controls here at the top. So I'm just gonna press stop a bunch of times to make sure I'm here at the beginning. And then if I press record, we'll get our count in, and then I'm recording notes. You can see them coming across the screen. Now, if I want to play that back, I can hover my mouse in this gray space, this gray bar here, and it gives me a speaker. If I do that towards the beginning, it'll play at the beginning. The other thing I can do is press stop again, and then press play, which will play from the beginning. Notice we have a magnifying glass here. If I hover above the numbers, I can click in that space and drag down to zoom in and drag side to side to scroll. So I recorded that little melody. but it's all by itself. I didn't record it to a metronome. I didn't record it to the project's rhythm. And Ableton Live really, really wants you to play at the set tempo. And everything will kind of fall apart if you don't set the tempo first. So we kind of already did that before with this 90. But how do we hear that tempo if we have no other musical elements happening? We have the metronome. This button right here will turn on the metronome. And I'm just going to delete this clip we already recorded. Now if I press play, we're going to hear a click. Some people call it a click track metronome. But notice that one of those beats, and yours probably sounds like this. I just changed the sound of it. One of those clicks is higher pitched. The 3 other ones are lower pitched. The higher pitched ones represent 1 or the downbeat. Remember, this is all coming full circle now. So this will help us play in time with our project. If you need to learn more about like basic rhythm, check out my music theory series popping up at the top now. But otherwise, we've got our metronome on. I can hit record. And now I can record to a metronome. Great. And I don't want to record anymore. I have to hit that record button again. The project is still playing, so I can either hit stop or I could have hit the space bar. We've got an uneven clip size here. So what I'm going to do is just like we did with the MIDI notes is find this little bracket here, bring my mouse just close enough and shrink it down so that it's 4 bars long. 1, 2, 3, 4. A nice even 4 bars. And now to record with that, I can arm my drum track. I can press stop on the project once more just to make sure we're at the starting point, 1, 1, 1. I can press record, check my octaves for drums, and we can record drums with that melody. I'm leaving the metronome on for now. Ready, go. All right, again, it's continuing to play. I'm going to press the record button to stop recording, and I'm going to press the space bar. If you press the space bar, it would stop playing and stop recording. Again, I'm going to clean this up and shrink this back down. And it's not looking half bad. Now if I press stop and then play again, it's going to play these together, and I can turn the metronome off because my drums and melody give me a sense of time. Great, space bar, it ended. And the last thing I'll show you is that this works for audio tracks as well. Arm the audio track, press stop to start at number 1, and then I'm gonna press record. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, ready, stop. All I did was press space bar this time to just demonstrate that that also works. So now what we ended up with was a shorter loop than these two. Well, don't forget about what we learned about clips. We can duplicate them. We can duplicate them here as well. I can duplicate this one, Command D, or right click, duplicate. And this is how we can start extending our sessions. Be very, very careful when you're recording audio and recording MIDI. I'm going to use the magnifying glass to zoom in here. You notice that this clip is not cleanly starting at that downbeat. We want to make sure that it's a clean 4 beats. I messed it up here too. A clean 4 beats, and get rid of this gap. If we have extra space, drag it out so it's complete. Double check, fine tuning there. There's a little mistakes that can happen that can throw your project off. Make sure everything is the exact length you want it to be. Use that magnifying tool to double check that they're the right length. So see what I mean? How it's a lot easier to record on this timeline than that whole looping thing that was happening over in session view. It's something you can get better at and practice in session view, but for most people's basic usage, probably doing this in the arrangement view makes more sense and is a little bit easier. The last thing I want to show you here is that the clips from session view can be brought into arrangement view. To do that, I'm going to press tab and go back to my session view. I'm going to click on the clip that I want to bring over to arrangement view. I'm clicking and holding it down. See, I'm dragging it around, dragging it everywhere. Don't let go. Press tab again. Now you see that it's here in arrangement view. Make sure you drag it in the right place. Since this came from track 1, I'm going to drop it in track 1. I'm going to press tab again and do the same thing with this drum beat here. Click and drag, don't let go. Press tab, drag it in. I'm not going to drag it in here onto the synth track. That doesn't make much sense, and it's just going to sound like this. No good. I want it to go on the drum track. And then clicking where I want the play to start and pressing space to play. Now we got that 4 to the floor kick with that melody from session view. So these things can be used in combination. You can record over on this timeline. If you want to start here at bar 11, just click on the line at bar 11, press record, and it starts recording from bar 11. If you want to start recording from bar 1, you can go over here and click near bar 1, or you can always just press stop a couple times and it will reset the playhead to being at bar 1. Press play. 2, 3. I want to play bar 9 here. I'm going to press the speaker. Notice that worked with global launch quantization as well. It doesn't change until a downbeat. Watch that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. I clicked it, but it doesn't skip right away. It waits till the next downbeat, which makes everything rhythmically make a lot more sense. Live is always trying to point you in the right direction, keep you rhythmically intact. But if you don't play by its rules, it can feel frustrating and like you're swimming up current or something. So just understand that that's what's going on there. Having your tempo set, understanding the global launch quantization, things are coming in and out at downbeats specifically, not instantly when you press the button. Just have a firm understanding of that. And now you can go to town. You can record audio. Like I said, you could plug a guitar in. You could, just like with MIDI tracks, make a new audio track. If you wanted to, say, delete that one, you could go ahead and make a new one by right-clicking here and hitting Insert Audio Track, or you could hit Command T, which would quickly make one as well. But keep in mind, I just deleted that track that had my vocal on it, and if I hit Tab, it's gone from session view as well. These two views are related. They're reflecting the same exact tracks that the other view is showing. Like, it's all the same. All right, hopefully after watching this video, you are confident in being able to record in the session view and being able to record in the arrangement view with MIDI as well as audio. We're going to keep this series going next month. As usual, if you enjoyed it or if you have more questions, comment down below. We're taking things nice and slow. Thank you all for following along. And usually when I do videos like this, people will comment and say like, you should have done this on Skillshare, or, oh, you should have uploaded this as a course somewhere or something. It's like, well, it's here. And if you want to support the channel, you can hit the join button down below, become a channel member, which comes with a bunch of other perks, or you can just go check out some of my other videos, listen to my music, things like that. Or you can check out the video's sponsored distro kit. The link's in the description. Save that 7%, get your music up on all the stores, check out all the cool features, etc. That's going to be it for now. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.